All right, we are recording live, and today I'm going to be speaking with Andrea, who was a client who started back in April. So it's been a few months since you got going with me. And I think the cool thing about your story, Andrea, is, and I like to do this sometimes, right? So even past the 12-week program, is see what kind of happens after the fact. Like, what is your story afterwards? Because the whole premise behind this program is creating these sustainable lifestyle changes and building a lifestyle beyond just the 12 weeks. And so I like to kind of monitor the situation and see how people do beyond that, because, like that's also a very valuable experience as well. And for you, you had some really great initial experience. I think you were down, 14 pounds or
Yep,
so in that first 12
exactly.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hit your goal weight, which was really exciting.
Yes.
And then you've kind of you basically have maintained that goal since we had finished back, I think it was in July. So you've had a few months of
Yeah.
maintenance, and we're going to get into how you've been able to achieve that.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here and chat with you about it. Yes.
Yes. So I think one of the things that's really important to, you know, understand for like the other people who might be watching this, and just to understand, like, what was the situation that you were in when you first came to me, or we first had that initial call? Like, what was your life like at that time?
So, simply put, I was just very uncomfortable in my skin. I was probably the heaviest I have ever been weight wise, including my pregnancies. And overall, I just had oh my goodness, constant low energy, brain fog, all of that. And I was skipping meals based on my schedule with work and kids. I was just not eating consistently. And when I was eating, I was just grabbing whatever, was there. Um, so I felt like a bit of a disaster, which is also what made me kind of start searching to figure out how I could fix that feeling.
Yeah. And so had you ever had any experience with like weight loss before, had tried anything to solve that?
A little, like over the years, I had tried, like the fad diets or just dieting in general here and there. But I definitely was the person that thought cardio was like my best friend. So, when I had time to exercise, that's exactly what I went for. I was always on the treadmill. Or eventually, like when COVID hit and everyone, got their Peloton bikes. I don't have a Peloton, but I got a bike to cycle. And so it was always cardio for me. Um, and I could never see significant results. So I just figured like I wasn't doing it enough or for long enough. And when I did have some results, I could never maintain them. So that was probably my experience with trying to lose weight and just get more fit and healthy in the past. But it was definitely a yo-yo experience.
Yeah. And that's
And now
something
I know
that
why.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of women try. Like they think, oh, well, like I've gained weight, like I gotta go start running, or I gotta start doing more cardio. Like it's that exercise piece is kind of that first, line of
Yes,
defense.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now, I remember we first talked on the phone, and you were definitely like, there was, a little bit of fear, a little bit of doubt, a little skepticism for you, because this is something like you had never done before. But
Yeah.
maybe in your own words, you can kind of share like what it is that you were, maybe skeptical about or doubting in the first place.
So I think there were two big pieces for me. So one was just the commitment and the time commitment overall. I was worried that I am a full-time working mom. I have two young kids, and I was worried that I was going to be um, have to be like in a gym or working out constantly. Um, and also just in general finding that time to fit it into my schedule. My kids, when I started this, were 3 and 5, so the older one was a little self-sufficient in ways, but they definitely need me quite often.
Mhm.
So the commitment in general was the time commitment was the first piece of it.
Yeah.
And then this may seem funny to people, but the meal prepping was the second piece. So I've always thought of, all right, if I'm going to, get healthier, watch my nutrition or learn about nutrition and what I eat, I'm going to have to spend hours in my kitchen meal prepping. I'm going to have to, spend a full weekend day just in the kitchen. And that was a very daunting thought to me. It's not something I've ever enjoyed doing, and not something I've ever been good at. So those were the two hesitations of, okay, is that what I'm signing up for, basically? But I was still willing to give it a try, but pleasantly surprised that both of those fears did not have to actually be fears. So,
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question is like, did those things were those fears ever realized, or was that something that actually you had to do to get results?
correct. Yes. So they no, not at all. So time commitment wise, it just took a little bit of moving around and figuring out when is the best, time to work out and fit that into my schedule. And as you know from working with me, I don't have a consistent schedule. So I don't have like I work out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I go week by week, and I kind of choose my days based on what's going on in life, my work schedule, and my kids' schedule as well. So that has been great, and I've been able to fit it in and stay consistent. I also, you don't have to work out every day, which was a huge relief for me.
Hmm.
I do enjoy the working out aspect, but again, it's hard to fit it in every day. And then I think the biggest surprised, like I was pleasantly surprised. No meal prepping, right? So you teach us the difference between meal prepping and meal planning, and that was very eye-opening to me. So I was able to meal plan, and that I still do very consistently. And it not only helps me and my family like eat healthier, um, but it also helps with the schedule throughout the week, being able just to plan out what we're going to have and not have to actually make everything in advance, just like cutting down for us like the dinner conversation of like what are we going to make and like trying to grab something or ordering out because we hadn't planned ahead. um those two aspects I was very pleasantly surprised about, but yes,
Yeah.
I didn't have to be scared about it. It wasn't anything I actually had to deal with.
Well, I think too that people don't realize that the actual meal planning piece actually saves you time. A lot of people think, oh, that's a whole nother step that I have to do. But at the end of the day, it actually saves you time.
It does, yeah. And you had said to me, I think initially when I started meal planning, um, I was new to it. So it took me about an hour the first couple of times, like weeks, to like figure out what I wanted to make each night. I do think I was overcomplicating a little. Like it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It can be very simple. And once I got that down, you had said to me, like, it will get easier. You'll spend like a half hour at most, um, when you get the hang of it. And that is true. I spend about 30 minutes per week. Um, Figuring out what everyone's going to eat, like what we're going to eat for dinner, and adding it to an online grocery pickup. Um, you
Yeah.
know, adding a bunch of fruits and veggies in addition to that, just so the fridge is stocked. And it's kind of as simple as that. And then I actually have, a nice little board where I write it all out. Um, that sits in the kitchen. So my husband knows, we all know what we're going to have for dinner that night. So
Mhm.
it takes the guesswork out of it and just makes the evening more efficient.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, like just, moms and being how, like you said, how busy you are, it's like you want to find all of those little efficiencies to not only like do things that align with your goals, but also that don't make you feel like you're always having to do things, that there's always this endless to-do list
To-do
that's to
list.
accomplish.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the thing that kind of said, okay, like I want to move forward. I do need to hire a coach. I do want to have a coach. Like what was that deciding factor for you?
Well, the short answer is my kids, my daughters. But the longer version of it is we were away in the spring in April, and we were staying in a hotel, the girls and I, and there was a pool in the hotel. And they were begging me to go in the pool. It's April. We just came through winter. I was not ready to get in a bathing suit, but they were like over the moon at the possibility of getting into the hotel pool, right? So I put on my happy face, put on a bathing suit, and I just remember the full length mirror in the hotel room where oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. But I made sure not to let the kids know that, right? And I remember my one daughter saying, like, Mommy, you look so pretty. And, I said, thank you. We had a great day in the pool, but it got my mind thinking, like, I'm so unhappy with how I feel and how I like look. And my daughters see this, right? So I want to get healthy for me. I want to be a role model for them. And so I think that's what jump started it, or don't think, I know that's what jump started it, because it was that night where they're asleep in the hotel bed beside me. And I was on my phone just researching. And that's actually, your name had come up so many times. And so I checked out your website. And then, you know, you're a mom, this is your expertise. Um, I knew I needed someone professional and an expert in this area, and someone to hold me accountable to at least like jumpstart this in me and tell me, guide me through it. So it was a very quick kind of realization that I needed to do this. I wanted to do this. And
Mhm.
I think I emailed you at like 3 in the morning, saying like, hey, I'm interested. Let me know if we can talk. And yeah, we exchanged messages the next day. So, and after talking to you, it solidified it even more. Because the main thing I wanted to do was, you had mentioned it earlier, like a sustainable lifestyle change. It wasn't, I just didn't want like a quick fix to be able to like get in my bathing suit throughout the summer. I wanted to feel better in general and have the energy, every day to like play with the kids and be a part of what they're doing.
I love it. I love it. So we had talked about, like how you've changed like some of your exercise habits, like routine, like how do you do that? How you meal plan, you're more intentional around food. What what other changes have happened in your life since completing the program?
I'm definitely more aware of sleep and hydration. So those are two aspects where I didn't even think they would come into play in the program, right? And so I learned a lot about that. Um, how you hear how important sleep is, and like every mom probably in the world, we all lack sleep, but understanding how crucial it is to everything else, um, really got me thinking. So I've tried really hard to work on getting more sleep and, going to bed earlier, shutting off the phone and the computer earlier. Um, so that's a big thing for me. That's still work in progress. But it is something I think I've improved definitely. And hydration. I didn't realize like how little water I was intaking compared to what I should be. And also didn't realize kind of all the benefits from it, like how it just helps in general, um, with your overall just feeling throughout the day, keeping you full in addition to hydrated and things along those lines. So I think those two things were also really interesting for me to learn, and things that I've incorporated not only into my life, but my family's life. So
Yeah.
people are going to bed early. We always have our water bottles with us. And
Hmm.
so that also makes me happy that a lot of this is also influencing my family, and
Hmm.
definitely organically. Like there's things that I introduce to them, but I don't want to be like forceful, especially with my husband. He is an adult and has his own ways, but it's
Mhm.
nice to see that they see how well it's worked for me. And so, you know, they're jumping on the train with me.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think it's really important for moms to realize is like, a lot of times moms will take a back seat, try to take a back seat because they think it's going to benefit the family, right? You're like, I'm doing this for the family. But then what you're showing your family is that it's okay to put your health and your priorities as a back seat. But what you've done is actually show them how important it is to have these healthy practices and routines and how much better it makes you feel. And then by that, demonstrating that they are following along as well. And so I think that's a really key aspect of, how moms really do need to prioritize their health and themselves as well.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head because I think, I have I would say this program was like super had a huge impact on me in many different ways, but giving me a new perspective on what you just said, kind of like the guilt factor. And I think you posted about this the other day, ironically, but it's always been really hard for me to justify like me time and going and, working out for a half hour when I could be playing with the kids or checking things off my to-do list that really needed to get done, and half the time probably didn't really need to get done. But watching the kids specifically, like, all right, mommy's going to go exercise, and sometimes they even come in and try to exercise, and they'll talk to me about, okay, so you're going to go exercise tonight to keep yourself healthy, and it's starting to make sense in their little minds. So that the gaining that perspective has been has made a huge impact on me, because anytime I feel just a little guilt, I'm like, I'm working on myself. Um, and it's making me the best version of me, and it will, give my kids the best version of me too. So yeah, I
I
think you hit the
love
nail
it.
on the head with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think lots of changes, and one that you just mentioned has been a big one. But what would you say is the biggest change for you since doing the program?
I think the whole um sustaining kind of a new lifestyle. I don't want to go back to how I was eating before, and I've made new habits. Not to say there hasn't been a time here or there where, I've fallen off for a day or two, but I will tell you, my body just doesn't feel good when that happens. So
Mhm.
I think the fact that I've been able to sustain this, and I have no what's the word I'm looking for? I don't plan to not continue because it's easy now, right? Like I
Mhm.
know um what to eat. I know a lot about like what calories are in what and kind of how to maintain that balance. Like, I'm going to go eat the ice cream tonight with my girls. Okay. Or I had pizza last night. So I think that has been the most beneficial, being able to just understand how to prioritize the fitness and nutrition and the basics around it, and being able
Mhm.
to maintain it and maintain that lifestyle. And that was my kind of my number one goal with doing this, like seeing some results and being able to continue through and not just be like a band-aid or a temporary fix.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it. And that's really the goal of this whole program is like when you invest in this program, you're investing in a lifestyle change. And
Yeah.
when you keep those changes going, like you said, I love the fact that you said it's easy. And I hear this too from other clients. It's like, you told me it was going to get easier, Amy. And like you're right. Like at first we thought you're like, you're just saying that because you you just want to make us feel better. But it's like it actually really does become easy,
Yeah.
natural, you know?
Yeah. It's just like yeah, it kind of just goes into your schedule. It's habit. On Fridays, I'm like, oh, got to place my grocery order, got to plan for, I do my meal planning, like starting on the Saturday through the following Friday.
Mhm.
And yeah, it is simple. Everyone is right. It can be a little intimidating at first for someone who hasn't done it. but that quickly goes away. It's
Mhm.
makes it you make it easy to make those changes.
Yeah, that's the goal because moms, I
Mhm.
mean, really, we have enough.
Yes,
So if we can make things a little bit easier, that's a good thing.
exactly,
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
and you kind of alluded to like, how, how I operate and like what it's like to work with me. What would you say to anybody who was thinking about working with me? What would you say the experience is like?
Oh, it's been great. So I would kind of sum it up as encouraging and educational. So you are so supportive and encouraging with the whole process, no matter where you kind of are in life. And I know I had a lot of kind of personal and life hurdles throughout the program. Um, and you were there to like navigate, switch up fitness programs, whatever it may be. So that was wonderful. And then the educational piece, you're so full of knowledge. And with this being kind of your profession and expertise, like I learned so much more than I anticipated. And I think that was wonderful as well. It wasn't just, okay, let's go on this program and see if we can get you results. I learned about it, and I'm the type of person I like, and I need to understand why I'm doing something, and you know
Mm.
how it all pieces together. So yeah, anyone who works with you are definitely, you're very supportive. You're going to give the clients the support they need, the guidance they need. And then, as much as they want to learn, you're there to do that too. So
Yeah.
that's been great.
Well, thank you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I think you had a lot of challenges, ups and downs, or all kinds of things that happen along the way, which, nobody has a perfect life, right? There's always going
Yeah.
to be these challenges, but to you, they're your own. And I will say, I definitely commend you for being dynamic throughout the entire
Oh, thank you.
process. And like you always stayed committed, you always stayed focused. I think you had, like you said, like the bigger goal in mind, and that really helped keep you moving
Yeah.
forward through everything. And so, as much as I can give all the guidance, if you're not, taking that guidance and putting in the effort and doing the things, it doesn't work. So the fact that you did that, it made us a really great team. So
Thank
certainly
you. Thank
appreciate that.
you. Absolutely. No, it was a great experience, and it still is. So thank you for continuing to guide me and
Yes.
help me, stay on track and whatnot, because I love seeing the results, but even more so, I love the way I feel. Just like not only physically but mentally. So
Mhm.
it's been a great
Yes.
change.
I love it. Said so perfectly. All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, Andrea. It's been wonderful catching up, and keep lifting those weights, getting
I
stronger.
will. I
And
will. Absolutely.
yeah, so thanks again. And I'm sure everybody learned a lot from this one. So
Oh, good. I
appreciate your
hope
time.
so. Thank you, Amy. Talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Andrea. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.